Yo, what up, what up? It's Peter Rosenberg, Hot 97, ESPN, WWE, all that. Right now, you're checking out the Oddly Awesome Art and Culture podcast. That's right, Oddly Awesome Art and Culture, all right? Well, my guy, Francis Ramos, okay? The Oddly Awesome podcast, incredible. It covers street art, design, culture, so much more. So make sure you subscribe and check that out. What up, Francis? Hope you're good.
Oddly Awesome. Like a lot of new writers around, like you talk to them about a lot of old writers, so they don't even know what you're talking about.
Oddly Awesome.
We have a special graffiti squad.
Oddly awesome to be here.
What'd you do last night? We did 2 whole cars. It was me, Dez, and me 3, right? And in the first car, in small letters, it said,
Oddly awesome.
Greetings from the East Bay. I'm Francis, your host of the Oddly Awesome Art and Culture podcast. Today we have an up-and-coming Okinawan-Filipino artist, COURTNEY Reyes, whose anime-inspired art and stationaries have been making their way around various Bay Area festivals and community public markets. Her body of work consists of illustrations of musicians, athletes, and iconic anime characters with a twist. COURTNEY previously collaborated on an Oddly Awesome design, which was used as a part of a sticker giveaway. We called it the Bubble Design. COURTNEY, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I think it's important to note that for full transparency, I've known you all your life, and I think it's fair to say that you've known me most of my life because we are family, we are cousins.
First cousins.
Yes, so I think that is important to note. But I think that kind of leads us to a lot of our questioning because it helps me understand you better, and I've seen you grow, and I've seen how you actually took and you took up art and how natural it was for you. So I thought that was pretty amazing, and
Thank you.
yeah, and that's all attributed to you. So and we did collaborate on a few things before, so I think it's only fitting that I interview you first. So I guess we'll get it going here. For those who don't know you, give us a little background about yourself.
So my name is COURTNEY, and I was born and raised in the Bay Area, California. And I'm currently an illustrator and painter. And I've recently been dabbling into some 3-dimensional art forms, so I recently took a pottery class, which was super fun, so I'm looking forward to taking more of that in the future.
Nice. And in regards to pottery, what are you creating?
Well, since I'm still a beginner, it's mostly just practicing throwing pots, cups, bowls, all the simple stuff before you can really get more creative.
So I noticed you mentioned that, Bay Area native, right? You grew up here. What does being from the Bay Area mean to you from a personal standpoint and as an artist?
Well, I think the Bay Area has so much to offer in terms of different culture, this language that everyone picks up, and just being surrounded by such warm and welcoming communities as an Asian American creative.
And as an Asian American creative, Japanese, Filipino, I seeing you growing up and seeing your interests, what role did anime play for you growing up?
So anime and manga, I would definitely say that from an entertainment standpoint, I found it more entertaining in general from American cartoons. I think it's mostly because the style of art is really what brought me in, and the stories that these anime and the manga tell.
You mentioned style of art. What style, which anime styles gravitated towards you? Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball. Who were they?
So growing up, I definitely would say Hayao Miyazaki's artwork is definitely inspiring in terms of storytelling, the color that he uses in his works, and just the overall stories in general. Also, I was inspired by Sailor Moon, that kind of female hero character wasn't really common in American or Western cartoons, other than like maybe like a Wonder Woman or
Like just like a Western like
Yeah.
female like heroine, right? Like Jean Grey
Mm-hmm.
or Rogue, right?
yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And in your life too, you play softball.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I grew up playing fast pitch softball like elementary through high school, and even right now I play on a co-ed slow pitch team, which is super fun. And it's a good way to like get some exercise and also relieve some stress.
That's great. I think I bring that up because it's important to note that it translates like you as a ball player and an artist, because you created art inspired by the Japanese Babe Ruth, Los Angeles Angels Shohei Ohtani. Can you explain a bit about like your Shohei Ohtani art and like what he means to the Japanese culture?
So right now Ohtani, he's probably like the biggest well-known Japanese baseball player, other than like Ichiro's and like the Kurt Suzuki maybe, or Hideki Matsui of the Yankees. So he's just, I don't know, he's been amazing like the past few seasons, and everyone knows his name. Everyone wants his jersey. And I kind of wanted some stationery of him, so I just made it myself because it's kind of hard to find, I would say.
Like merchandise?
Yeah.
Other than like jerseys and like baseball cards, right? Like,
Yeah,
like
I
what
wanted
else is out
something
there?
cute to just put in my bullet journal for myself. And I was like, hey, maybe other people want this too. So I made some for those small markets that I've been at.
Okay, so like, are you producing these stickers yourself? Are you sending them out to printers? Like, what does that look like?
So right now, my stickers, I draw them on my iPad, and then I'll print them at home and also cut them at home. So I have a Cricut cutter, so it kind of just does all the work for me.
Oddly awesome to be here.
Can you explain your creative process? Like, what does it take for you to get up and running with a piece?
All right, so all my pieces start in my physical sketchbook, not necessarily my iPad or Procreate that I use. So normally I would start with different thumbnails to see like what kind of background I want to use, or if it's just a sticker design, I'll like sketch different faces or different shapes, sizes, depending on like what I'm making or what I'm feeling. And I would say my art process is kind of impulsive. Like my creative waves come and go. So like if I'm feeling like super artsy, I'll just hop on it right away. And then after I do those thumbnails, I'll add some color and see like which colors work the best or which colors I'm feeling for that certain piece. And then from there, this is where it splits off between digital art and some traditional pieces. So after I have like the final thumbnail that I want to use, I'll either sketch it again in a larger size for like a traditional piece, and then from there I'll decide if I want to make it a watercolor piece, marker, pencil, whatever traditional medium. And for a digital piece, normally I would take a picture of my sketchbook and then use that as the first layer or a first underlayer in Procreate, so I can just turn down the opacity and trace over my sketch and edit it there.
So it seems like you have a system down. So can you share with the audience like what is Courtney's mediums and tools?
So I would say my favorite things to have when I'm drawing is a sketchbook with either white or cream colored paper. I always start my sketches, well, it really depends like what I'm doing. So I'll have like light red colored pencils, regular just graphite pencils. Watercolor is definitely a medium that I enjoy using the most. It's the one that I picked up, I guess, the fastest, and also it was just natural to me. And I've been dabbling in gouache as well, because it's similar to watercolor, but the colors dry opaque, kind of like an acrylic. So that was something that had a bit of more learning curve, but also it was a fun process to learn. And for digital sketching, I like to use my iPad, and I use the app Procreate because it was cheap and it's really easy to use.
So what does it mean to you as an artist, like, to be Okinawan-Filipino? And I noticed on your Instagram bio, you identify as Okinawan-Filipino, specifically focusing on the Okinawan half. Like, how important is it for you to specify Okinawan specifically versus saying Japanese?
So pretty much my whole life, I've been not labeled, but just being known as Japanese. And recently, at the start of the pandemic, I kind of ventured out and I was wondering more about my Okinawan or Shimanchu identity. So I kind of reached out to different members of the diaspora, and I joined a Okinawan pen pal exchange that I found through Instagram, and I found so many like wonderful individuals through that, and also just knowing that there's more Okinawan people out there besides me and my family, and of course there is, but finding them is hard because many of us earlier in our life also just identified as Japanese, but really we're something just more than that, especially since Okinawa was also its own kingdom before it became a part of Japan, and way before like World War II happened and stuff like that.
So, would it be fair to say that you were more content and more like in tune with the Filipino side? That's why you didn't question it versus like your half Japanese side, where you had to kind of get a better understanding.
I would say so, because growing up, especially in Union City, California, it's kind of like Filipino Central over here. I'm surrounded by Filipino people. Most of my dad's family is here, and just the community is in Union City. There is a lot of Filipino people here. We're surrounded by the Filipino markets. There's a 24-hour drive-through Jollibee right around the corner from my house. Going to James Logan, maybe it's like at least 40% of the students are Filipino there. So finding like another Okinawan person in this area was pretty hard, I would say, other than like them being my family.
And I guess too, being a Union City native in the East Bay, do you feel like there is a presence of artists or like a community that can cultivate and help nurture your work?
I think the community, or the art community here, is definitely growing, especially in the past, I would say like 5-6 years. Because before, if you were looking for a more artsy community, you would have to go all the way up to Oakland, you would go to Berkeley, got across the bay to go to the Peninsula and SF, and that's where like most of the art culture of the Bay Area exists. And that makes sense because that's where a lot of like world-renowned museums are as well, and people come from all over the world just to SF to visit those museums.
Oddly awesome.
One last question. I want to put you on the spot, but
All right.
let's see. I am curious as to what are your top 3 animes and why?
Does this include movies or no?
I guess it's your answer, so you get to take it as you wish.
Okay. I would in no particular order. So I'm gonna mention Kiki's Delivery Service by Hayao Miyazaki. That movie was the first Studio Ghibli movie that I've seen. So
I see.
Other than like it being a nostalgia factor, I enjoy how the main character's like innocence and her carefree vibe about just kind of living and just throwing herself out there. Like, I think in the story she's like 12 or 13 and she leaves home to become a witch in a different town, like far away from home. And that's inspiring for like a lot of younger people, not just artists, but just for anyone who is struggling to just like get out there.
Yeah, so see, that's a good first one for Miyazaki, because for me, my first Studio Ghibli film was Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, see, so that World War II and the atomic bomb, right? So like that was a really, I'd say like depressing or dark tone film, but that was my first exposure to. Oh, wow. The Miyazaki or Ghibli universe. So
okay,
but yeah, yours was good.
Yeah. Let's go with my second choice. This is kind of cheating. I would kind of have them under the same umbrella, but I really enjoy sports, anime, and manga. So I'm gonna count Diamond No Ace / Slam Dunk as my number 2.
Nice.
And just growing up playing sports and seeing that anime and manga has sports as an entertainment factor is pretty fun to see, because in Western animation, you don't really see any like sports oriented or focused cartoons in that specific way. For those anime, like they really go into like the detail of like how to play the sport and like the emotions that go into learning the sport and just growing up with a team. And that's really something, of course, I related to growing up playing softball myself.
There is that volleyball one. My friend Ian's going to kill me if I don't know this, but is it Haikyuu?
It is Haikyuu.
Yeah.
So Haikyuu is a really fun anime. I would say it's a good first anime to show someone if they've never watched anime before. It's pretty lighthearted, but you can relate to the main characters, and the aspect of volleyball is really highlighted. So like if you're introducing someone to anime and they play a sport, I would definitely go with Haikyuu because they can relate to it.
Got it. Okay. That's nice to know. And what is your last choice?
So my last choice is, I would say, kind of different from the first 2/3. Is called Nodame Cantabile, and it's about a college student who goes to a music school or like a music conservatory, and she's kind of just ridiculous, and like the way she speaks and the way she carries herself is so silly that no one really takes her seriously until they hear her play piano, like in a more serious tone. Because growing up in the series, she kind of just likes to play like kids music kind of, and she avoids she kind of avoids more serious pieces because it just reminds her of her past. And so this one I was attracted to because it's not about like high schoolers or middle schoolers. It's a more, I guess you could say, mature story, but not in like a raunchy way, in like a slice of life growing up, a college student, just finding her way through life through music.
Got it. Well, those are pretty awesome top three animes. So
thank you.
I hope our audience can check that out. So I think we're wrapping up here. This is where you get to plug all your socials and share what you have upcoming. Like, what do you have going on? Where can we find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at code.chan. It's COU.CHAN. And for any upcoming markets, I don't have anything planned currently, but I'm hoping to have at least one more for the holiday season.
Got it. And I think the last thing is for our listeners who are fans of Courtney here, I think if you give us a few weeks, keep your eyes peeled. There is a project that me and our partner Mike Nguyen of Oddly Awesome, what we're working on together with Courtney. She is designing something really cool, and I am very excited for this. I think it's going to speak to a lot of audiences, like the R&B fan and museum goers and like art fans too. So it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be a really good take, and I am excited to expose that to the world once we have it all down. So keep your eyes peeled. Just stay in tune with Oddly Awesome. And with that, I would say thank you for being here, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you for having me.
Oddly awesome.